So there's been a lot of talk about Tartarus Terminators losing their power fist options, and I want to try and explore it in a way that isn't just why have they removed it, but maybe look at some stuff that people aren't talking about. So first things first, I'm going to talk about actually like the impact of weapons in the game. Some things become auto includes and no brainers and things, and that's clearly something that they're looking to try and get away from. It's a point that was really well made by the Heresy Hammer. If you go back and watch their argument about what Games Workshop have done in the most recent video, and the example they used in 2.0 was the Thunder Hammer, and they're not wrong in that. I think that plays a part in why perhaps we've seen Tartarus Terminators losing access to things like Power Fists and Thunder Hammers. So one of the big things that I've noticed, like kind of looking through the data sheets and stuff that we have access to at the moment, is there's clearly a differentiation between the different Terminator types and kind of the investment you need to make to kind of get the legwork out of them from some of the back reps and things that I've had a chance to watch as well. So starting with the new shiny Saturnine boys, typically speaking, from what I've seen, is if you're not investing in a way of getting them kind of into the table quite quickly, and you've got two options there. 3 of them will fit in a Land Raider, or you're teleporting them. They're the Disintegrators, the AP3 Flamer templates and things like that aren't really having a large scale impact on the game. They've got a slow movement, the range isn't crazy, but they are very difficult to shift. In that mid ground, and what seems to have a lot more flexibility and options, you have the Cataphractii Terminators, but again unable to advance, so you're stuck with a 6-inch move, or you're making an investment into a Land Raider to be able to really push them into the table. So you've got a slightly less resilient at only toughness 5, 4 up invulnerable save, more flexibility in your war gear, so it can kind of fill in the army a little bit more with regards to how you're going to engage with like Vanguard or things like that. And then Tartarus Terminators, which can still advance but don't have as much weapon options. I think the main reason behind it is because Tartarus Terminators, from the look of it, if they had Power Fists, would be a no-brainer. They're still able to advance, 2-up save, invuln, toughness 5, 2 wounds. Very, very good unit. And you combine that with that speed and the damage to profile of Power Fists, and not having to necessarily make the investment into like a Land Raider or a delivery system to get them into combat. Cataphractii start looking slightly less attractive. So I think it's been a very deliberate thing with regards to kind of the role. We then look at like kind of faster frames that get access to the Power Fists, and you can start seeing things like veteran assault squads, command squads with jump packs, some of the Legion specialist units that might get access to them. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but I'm going to use like Raptors as an example. I don't know if they can or not, but they could. They're a much faster unit, but they're lacking the 2-up save outside of the Praetor command squad with jump pack. They don't necessarily come with the invulnerable save, and the points investment starts becoming a lot more. So if you do want to get fast, high strength high damage weapons in melee working for you efficiently, you're having to kind of play a bit of a gambling game, and I think that is something that maybe hasn't entered the sphere of conversation as much as it should do. I say I'm not making excuses for them completely axing the options. I think there are better ways to have been able to handle that. Ultimately, they could have just points things separately on those data sheets. If you want to run Tartarus Terminators with Power Fists instead of them being a 10-point upgrade, make them 15 points or whatever you want to do there. You can point things out to a point where people kind of go, I don't know if it's worth it, and if they do still choose to invest those points and want to do that, like, you can do that. I think a lot of the balance at the moment should have been in points manipulation as opposed to removal of things, but I'm not going to get kind of caught up in that too much. But yeah, I think it is important to kind of look at from a games mechanic perspective a little bit. Again, not making any excuses, but I have a suspicion that might be why they've taken the Power Fists away from the Tartarus Terminators, just to help each of the 3 generic Terminator units feel like they have a place in the army, and nothing seems to be overshadowed massively by another. Anyway, have a great day. Enjoy yourselves.